What's up, guys? It is that time of the month where we are dropping our next installment of our JDM Bento Box subscription. So today we are going to go through the May/June box. Things got a little muddled in there, but this is our next delivery of the JDM Bento Box. This is your warning. Okay, spoiler alert. If you would like to see what is inside, and even if you guys aren't a subscriber, we're going to dive through everything in here, talk about how to use it, and hopefully shed some light on some great products. So if you'd like to join us, let's do it. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle.
Oh, what a stud.
Yeah. Look at that.
That was sick.
Cheers, my friends. Happy Sunday. All right, guys, some breaking news. What's new this week at the Hookup Tackle?
What a beautiful coastline fish.
Look at that.
Look at that gut on that. That's a nice fish.
Welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, Tackle Otaku on Instagram, being joined once again by my buddy CJ. CJ, hello.
Hello, how's it
How
going?
are you today?
I'm doing great. How
He
you
is
doing?
at Desert Bassin. By the way, on Instagram, we're the Hookup Tackle USA. Today, we are breaking down the next installment of JDM Bento Box. Now, we're going to call this the June box. May was kind of a little weird. We were waiting on some product to come through, so we basically just picked up May and put it into June. So this is the next installment. So if you're wondering, why didn't I see a May video? That's why, okay? This is the May-June video. This is a super dope box. I'm so excited about this color. The star of the show, as you guys know, or maybe you don't know, just in case you don't know, we do a subscription box here. It's a very limited box. It's only 400 pieces. It's a $100 box, $100 value. Each month there is a limited color 110, a limited Pop Max, and then a handful of other goodies. It's just a really fun way to try some new baits. You get some super dope colors that you're not going to get any other way. It's just fun.
Ton of fun.
Right? It's just fun. So, this month's color, 110 and Pop Max, super stoked about it. Took me about 2 years to get them to actually make this color.
Thanks.
So, excited to bring it out. Shall we jump into the box?
Let's do it. It's
All right,
killer.
let's go. All right, CJ, so let's jump in. I'm going to start right here on top. Now, this is me being a little forceful. Okay? So, we're going to start this month with a hard bait. Okay? And I'm forcing you guys to take this bait. This is a bait that I talk about all the time. CJ talks about it all the time. It's one of my favorite hard baits in all the world. I love throwing jerk baits. This is one of my favorite jerk baits. This is from OSP. This is the OSP Rudra. Okay, now the Rudra is a 130 millimeter to 3/4 ounce jerkbait. It's a pretty big jerkbait, I guess, by jerkbait standards, especially when you're comparing it to something like a Ito Vision 110 that's half ounce, 110 millimeters. This is definitely a larger version. Now, the reason I'm forcing this on you guys is because it's one of our favorite baits. Everybody here implements it, and I can see the sales. You guys aren't trusting us, so I'm gonna force it on you, okay? You will catch fish if you try this bait. Now, CJ, I know you love the Rudra.
Yep.
What is it about the Rudra that you love?
Probably most drawing power of it. I mean, it's got a little bit more bulk to it than a typical jerkbait. So, in like ultra clean water situations, especially, I like to throw it. Like I like throwing it for smallies, and you can just call fish from a mile away. It's pretty snappy too for the size. It's a lot of fun to fish.
Yep. So you guys can fish this exactly the same as you fish your 110. Now, depending on what rod you're using, if you're using something like a P5 110 special, if you're using like an Orochi jerkbait special, that's fine for this thing. Okay, even though it's the next size up, it still throws perfectly well on that rod. You can give it the same snaps. It's going to have a very similar movement, but as CJ said, it has a different drawing power than a smaller jerkbait. It has 3 tungsten weights that shift to the back, so its castability is amazing in the wind. It's got a beautiful kind of side to side with a knock, but it's not overly obnoxious, right? Some bigger jerkbaits you get and you just shake it, it's just super loud. This has sound without being too much sound. So it's like the perfect blend that draws fish to it, and you guys will find that you're going to get aggressive strikes on this thing that you're not getting on some of the more finesse jerk baits like a 110.
Yep.
It's one of our favorite baits to throw early in the season. It's one of my favorite baits to throw like as we get into the summer and that hotter water and those fish get really aggressive and start chasing. If you guys get a windy day, especially if you guys are up north in any smallmouth territory, if you get on a breezy bank and throw this thing, you will absolutely just pummel them. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so these come in several different versions. I'm splitting this box in two. So half of you guys are going to get the SP, which is a suspend. Okay, so it's going to be a true suspend. The other half of you are going to get an MSF, which is a moderate slow float, which is going to have the same very slow floating characteristics as a 110. Okay, so either way you go, you're going to be able to throw it exactly the same as a 110. It's just a bigger bait. You can also upsize your line here. Okay, so you don't have to be afraid of line. So 14 is normal for me on this.
Yep.
You could go down to 12, but you could go up to 16 even, and you're going to be fine. So you've got, you know, a little bit bigger body. So don't be afraid to throw it around a lot of stuff. Don't be afraid to throw it on heavier line. Just try it. I'm
gonna be
forcing
great.
you to try it.
It's gonna be great for those guys that are afraid to throw like a finesse jerk bait. You know, some guys want big hooks and heavy
Yeah.
line and everything. It's a great bait for that.
Yep, 100%. So I think you guys will love it if you trust me and you try it. If you guys are already fans of the Rudra, well then guess what? You get to add another one to your box. Okay, so bait number one in this month's bento, the OSP Rudra. And by the way, I should mention everything OSP made in Japan too. As far as hooks go, I like the hooks that come on the OSP initially.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like all the hooks right out of the box, but I do find that the OSP hooks have a tendency to dull a little bit quicker. So right out of the box, they're laser sharp. Your first few fish, you're gonna find that you hooked them amazing. You're gonna be like, holy shit, these hooks are dope.
Yep.
After fish 4 or 5, you're gonna see that they're not quite as sharp as they were. So Owner ST36s would be a great way to go. Ryugi Pierce trebles, if you guys are that fan. Size 4 is perfect on there. So there you go. OSP Rudra, bait number one. All right, bait number two. Let's go over to some soft plastic.
Oh,
okay?
changing it up.
We're gonna mix it up a little bit.
Do it.
Okay, so we are gonna do a double dose of Raid.
Ooh.
Okay, so 2 Raid items this week. Okay, so we're gonna start right here. Everybody is going to get a Raid Egu Chunk. Okay, now this is one of their best-selling soft plastic baits. The reason I'm putting this in here is because this is a very timely bait, and this is one of those baits that everybody in the shop has been really playing with the last few, probably 3-4 months, and we've found some really amazing things to do with this, and I think it's time that everybody tries it. Here is the Egu Chunk. Let me take one out for you guys. Now, it's gonna be a variety of colors. Some of you guys are gonna get green pumpkins, some dark cinnamons, but they're all good colors,
Yep.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Egu Chunk comes in 3 different sizes. There is a 3-inch, a 3.5, and a 4. Okay, so there's 3 different sizes of chunks, so depending on what you need the chunk to do, you can choose. Now, this is a 4, okay? Now, what you're gonna notice is that it is built as a chunk, and normally chunks are built as jig trailers, okay? That's normally the purpose for having a chunk. But this is a really cool one that has a lot of versatility. So certainly, if you guys are in a spot where you guys are throwing, you know, bigger football jigs this time of the year, or, you know, flip jigs, and you're just upsizing everything, the 4-inch is gonna be an amazing jig trailer. Okay, it fits on the jig perfect, and you're gonna have these big, bulky appendages here that are really going to give, they're not gonna be like super fast floppy, they're gonna be just harder hitting, slower and harder, right? So that's what that thicker butt end is gonna do on those. If you're not throwing jigs, the way in Japan a lot of guys are using this is just straight Texas rig or flipping it. Now you're gonna need a shorter shank hook. A 2-aught fits this great. A 3-aught's fine, but it's gotta be relatively short shank because there's not a lot of body here, right? And the body you'll notice is a little bit thinner. So it's kind of got that, you know, crustacean shell on the top, and it's got these kind of ribs on the bottom, okay? And that's gonna create some different vibrations, different movements as well. They're just gonna create different feels. Right? It's all about a vibe underwater. So you're gonna have some different feels. Now, the way I would like you guys to try this is I would really like you to try it on a free rig. Okay, now, 4-inch might be a little bit heavy for a lot of you guys on a spinning rod. If you guys have a wind buster or something equivalent, no problem. But don't be afraid to free rig this on a casting rod as well, okay? Upsize your line. You can go to a little bit heavier weight. You go to 3/8 or a half. We've been playing with this bait a lot on a free rig, and it's unbelievable. In fact, Griff's so hyped on it that he's like, every day he's like, let's go shoot a free rig video on the Ego Chunk, right? It really jacks them well, okay? So it's gonna give you just a different look. It's not gonna have quite as much movement in motion as something like, say, a Doe Live Beaver would have. But it's subtle, and when it moves, the fish feel it, because everything on here is just built to when it moves, it actually pushes and has a certain action to it, okay? So it's subtle, but it's effective, okay? So a bunch of ways you guys can fish it. I think you guys will catch a ton of fish on it if you try. And even the 4-inch is a pretty small bait.
Yeah.
So like even if you guys are smallmouth guys or pond guys, that's not that big.
No, it's candy size,
right?
really.
So try it. Okay, I think you guys will find that it will become a staple. Now, if you go down in size to, say, the 3-inch, that's going to be more of like a compact jig trailer, right? Something that's go on a hunch jig, something like that. 3.5 can kind of fill the void in between. Okay, so there you go. The Ego Chunk from Raid. That is bait number 2 in the box.
I bet you'd be a good Carolina rig bait, too.
It would be a really good Carolina. I forget about the Carolina rig because we never do it out here.
I mean,
anymore.
if I can get away with not throwing it,
right.
I'm not going to throw it.
Right, it's not the most exciting way to do it, but it's a cool, it's a cool technique. All right, staying in Raid. Okay, Raid number 2 for this month. I thought this was an important one to do because it's another bait that's been bouncing around, but it's also our #1 selling bait so far of 2023.
Really?
Yep.
Nice.
So it's going to give the beaver a run for the money, and that's the Raid Libero. So that means a lot of you guys probably have this in your arsenal, but there are some new sizes, a 10 gram and a 14 gram size. There's also a 5 gram and a 7 gram, and we're going to kind of mix and match. So some of you guys might get the smaller size, some of you guys might get the larger size. This is a bait, CJ, I know you and Jeff just shot a video at Roosevelt.
Yeah.
You're fishing Libero through a bunch of cover. Thoughts?
Pretty dense stuff. I mean, big timber and everything. And at first, I was a little timid on like the weed guard. But I just fanned it out a little bit, and it was super rigid. I was throwing the 10 gram.
Okay.
But I would imagine it's the same for all the sizes. And dude, I mean, I was throwing over full size logs and in trees, coursing fish over logs, and never got stuck. It was great.
So CJ's fishing it in a way that it really wasn't necessarily intended for.
Right.
And it worked great.
Yep.
Right? And so far we found that a lot of these Raid products, that's exactly how they're kind of lining up. Is they were intended for one way, but they turn into very multi-use baits, right? So where a lot of guys have been applying the Libero is very similar ways like the Okashira Screwhead Spark Shad combo, right? But in a little bit heavier weights, and the bait stays down a little bit deeper, so you can fish some of those deeper reaches. The 10 gram and 14 gram are going to be right in that same realm. So if you guys want a super compact, like that's a ½ ounce.
Yeah.
Right? That's a ½ ounce head with an underspin, with a body on there. It's small.
Small package.
So this time of the year when they're seeing a lot of fry, they're seeing a lot of baby bass, they're seeing a lot of small little bluegill, tinier shad, right? They're seeing all that stuff. This is going to give you an option to downsize. And with the 4 sizes now, it gives you flexibility to where you could throw it in heavy cover. You could fish it on a heavier line. You could throw it on casting gear. You can throw it on spinning gear. You can throw it shallow. You can throw it deep. There's just a lot of flexibility to it. So some really dope colors as well. Each package is going to come with a couple of heads, couple of baits, right? So now, if you don't like the bait or you want to change the color, you can easily do that as well. Okay, so the smaller head will fit like a 3-inch bait, so if you can put a spark shed on it, you could put a little K-Tech on it. The larger head will fit like a 4-inch bait, so you could do like a 4-inch spark shad, you could do a 4-inch Doe Live shad. Again, you could do a K-Tech, you could do any of those baits. You know, a full swing. They advertise this as even being able to take a 4 and a 5-inch full swing as a replacement.
I could see it.
Okay, so you know, go for it. Knock yourselves out. Have some fun. Okay, play with it. Try it shallow. Try it deep. See what you think. But the Raid Libero, that is number 3.
Yep, it's fun bait.
All right, staying in a plastic for a minute. Now, this is a style of bait that a lot of guys here throw. Okay, and I think everybody knows about a back glide style bait, right? but everybody here is big fans because a lot of guys here, we do a lot of shore missions,
Yeah.
right? So even though everybody here has a boat, it's not always calendar allowed to just like up and go fishing.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
live in Phoenix, Arizona. So to go fish an actual lake, like there's one maybe 35 minutes away.
None of them
right?
are like in our backyard.
But nothing's just like down the road
No.
for us. So a lot of days we just have a couple hours to kill either before work or after work, or a new product comes in. It's like, dude, let's just run a little quick shore mission and we'll just go pond hop or do something, right? And a backlight bait is a great way anytime you're on that style mission. Now, on the bigger lakes, a backlight bait for us, super, super critical anytime we're around docks, marinas, that kind of stuff, because you can pitch it to the edge of a dock and it will glide up underneath it, right? So we are going to give you guys a package of one of the newer backlight baits. This is from Duo. This is the Realis G-Fix T-Hog. Okay, now we've spoken about this bait a few times in our What's New videos, right? I'm going to take one out of the package so you guys can see it. There are tons and tons of different backlight baits on the market, okay? Each one designed to do something relatively similar. They're all designed to kind of glide away from you, right? Now, if you guys aren't familiar with a backlight bait, if this is new territory, a new conversation for you, when you first look at this, you're going to think that you would rig it like this, right? So your hook, your knot's going to be here and your hook point's going to be here, right? You're just going to drag it around and those coils are going to move. And you can certainly do that. So if you wanted to just fish this on a Texas rig or drag it around on a little Carolina rig or something, you could do that. But a backlight bait is actually built to rig backwards. So you're going to actually go in through the front of the bait and the hook point's going to be like this, okay? So when it lands in the water, it's going to backglide. It's going to glide away from you. Now, what makes this different than some of the other backglides, every backglide is built with either a little bit more dense in the back, a little bit more dense in the middle. They're either designed to go down fast. This particular one is designed to have a longer, shallower glide. Okay, so you'll notice that it's wider and relatively thin, okay, and it's really, really well balanced. Okay, so you can rig this on something like a 3/0 hook would be perfect, like a 3/0 Infinity or EWG style. You could even get away with a 2/0, or you could go up to a 4/0 depending on what you need. There's a little bump right here on the back that can keep your hook point kind of, you know, extra weedless, I guess, where it's exposed, right? And it's perfect for a 3/0. Now, the design of this is to fish it weightless, cast at the target, and if you have enough depth in your water, this is going to glide away from you and it's going to stay shallower and glide farther. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to cast and then make sure you've stripped some line off, shake it out real quick, and let that bait have a chance to actually catch and glide away from you. Docks, marinas, that kind of stuff, it's perfect because a lot of times those fish are sitting 7-8 feet back, you know, behind the edge of the dock, but they're still relatively shallow. It's not like they're down in 15 feet of water. They're just a foot or two below the surface. They're just tucked back. So a bait like this is great because you can kind of skip it or pitch it to the edge and it will stay shallow and get back to some of those fish, which is a great summertime way to get them.
Oh yeah.
If you guys are shore fishing, you can pitch it to the edge of trees and let it go back in. You could even just cast it out to the middle.
Yeah, honestly.
All right, and you can just kind of pull it up and then just let it fall, and as it works the bottom, it's going to kind of move, and then lift it, and then it's going to kind of fall backwards, right? So play with it. Have some fun. Scented, right? Ton of colors. So that is the G-Fix T-Hog from Duo. That is bait number 4 already?
Yeah, I guess we're at 4 already.
That's 4. All right, let's keep going.
Let's do it.
All right, one more before we get to the stars of the show, okay? So, as you guys know, I'm a big fan of bladed baits, chatterbaits, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that can't be sold here in the U.S. because of different patents, different, you know, well, patents.
Fun stuff,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, fun stuff. So I like to try to find some cool ones and drop them in some of these boxes because they're really not for sale. It's just for you guys to try and, you know, maybe give you a little tease of some things that maybe will come down the road once patents are expired, right?
Yeah.
So here we go. This month, everybody is going to get one of my favorite blade baits. This is from Jackal. This is the Jackal Break Blade. Now, these come in several different styles, and depending on which box you get, you guys might get a 3/8 ounce, you might get a 1/2 ounce, you might get a winning spec, which is going to have a little bit longer skirt, you might get a TG, you might get a straightforward, but whatever you get, they all have a very similar design and things that make them a little bit different. Now, if you remember back 5-6 years ago, do you remember when Jordan Lee went on an absolute tear?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had like 2 back-to-back huge wins, classics.
Yep. I'm not going to say anything about what he was throwing, but let's talk more about the Jackal Break Blade, shall we?
Probably nothing in this video.
Yeah. So what you're going to get in a break blade that you're not going to get in, say, something like a jackhammer, is you're going to get a very tight movement right out of the gate. So where the jackhammer tends to be a real wide and loud moving bait, this is going to be real tight. So it's almost like going from a wide-bodied square bill to more of a flat side, right? So it just mixes it up a little bit. Is it going to replace a jackhammer? Of course not. Right? It's the greatest chatterbait ever made, right?
Yep.
But is it a cool one to kind of mix in and try and play with something new and just have a good time? For sure.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's basically what you're looking at. It's going to have all the things that you would expect, right? It's going to have a hand-tied skirt. It's going to have a good wire hook keeper. It's got a great hook. Some of them are going to have weed guards on it. Some of them won't. Some of them will have longer strand skirts that you can use as a substitute for a trailer. As far as trailers go on them, any of your standard bladed jig trailers are going to work. So if you guys are fans of Zaccos or Death Hatters or K-Tex or any of that stuff, Spunk Shads, stick it on the back, go and have a good time and play with it and see what you think. Okay, so the Jackal Break Blade in every box. All right, time for the reveal.
Yep.
Time for the reveal. Okay,
The big boys.
as I've mentioned before in some of these videos, I try to stagger out the colors of the 110 and Pop Max to where I'm thinking of the whole country through the course of a year, right? I know some of you guys live in places where they eat natural colors. Some of you guys live in places where they eat bright colors. Some of you guys just like some crazy funky stuff. It always seems like the crazy funky is more the hit,
Yeah.
I would say, because it's just weird. But every once in a while, a color comes along that's both weird and super effective, and this is one of those colors, okay? So, I'm excited to bring you guys White Tiger.
Ooh.
So, I don't know if I need to really explain the color at all. It's a White Tiger.
Yeah, that's a white
Right?
tiger.
It's a super dope color, super sick. I'll take each one out so we can look at it. So, essentially, you have a all matte white finish with some super sick kind of brown tiger striping. The eyes are all going to be this kind of pearl shimmer eye. Some of them are greener than others. Some of them are yellower than others. Some of them kind of shift from color to color depending on which one you get. Some of them are different colors on different sides. So there's going to be some individuality to the colors as well. You can see it's a straightforward color, but it's super fun.
Yeah.
Right? Super fun. So if you're a collector, this is going to be just a cool one to have in your collection. If you're a fisherman, this is going to be a really cool one to have hanging out of a fish's mouth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's a look at the Pop Max.
That one's gonna get chewed.
Oh my
dude.
god. Yeah.
That's gonna get chewed.
That's just filthy. Right? I don't know if it's because of the gill plate or whatever, but that literally looks like a tiger. Or the mouth open or whatever.
The eye really makes it come to life.
It's so cool. So really, really excited. Pretty stoked to get these guys out to you and in your hands. So please enjoy White Tiger. Tag us in your photos. I know you guys are going to catch a ton of fish if you guys use them. And if you don't, you can collect them. I can't blame you for that either because they're pretty dope. So there you go, guys. White Tiger in the Ito Vision 110 and Pop Max. There is your creme de la creme this month in the box.
I'm just picturing a big old striped smallie with that hanging out of its face.
Oh.
So dirty.
Oh, that'd be so
cool.
sick. Yeah. All right, guys, that is a wrap on this month's box. I hope you enjoy it. If you guys are a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. We really appreciate your business. And thank you for your patience this month as well. Everything will be back on track starting in July. So your next one is going to be right around the corner. So enjoy that box. If you guys have questions on anything that is in that box, how to rig it, how to use it, what it is, if we didn't cover it, drop it down below and I will get some answers to you. CJ will leave links to the products as well, and I'll try to put some videos on every page too. So if you guys want to go down more of a rabbit hole, you guys can do that as well. On behalf of myself, CJ, and everybody here at the Hookup Tackle Guys, thank you guys for taking time to watch this video. Thank you for your business and support, and we will see you again next month with the July box. Enjoy the June box, my friends. Peace.
See ya.